All right. So I want to talk a little bit about um, e-commerce automation. I think that's like been the most popular form of automation. I think it's the easiest for people to get into in terms of like companies offering that service because there's not a lot of infrastructure behind it. You just find a team of people overseas in the Philippines or Pakistan or wherever they are that basically just start up an e-commerce store and they run it on the day to day. I was pretty skeptical of that whole thing, and I didn't, I didn't think it was that great of an idea. It just seemed messy. It seemed like there was a lot of variables, and you could say the same thing about trucking, but at least trucking I understood it more. E-commerce, it's this whole internet, multiple platforms, and so many variables that I just don't know about it. Maybe it's because I don't know about it. I wasn't that comfortable with it, but after I made the deal with Ted with the trucking initially, they came out with this, three-way combination package for eBay, Facebook, and Amazon, all for like 10 grand. So I said, "What the heck? I got the financing. If it totally just, craps the bed, hopefully the truck will make up for it." And I did that shortly after we got into trucking with them. I think it started in May. May was the first month that this process officially started. And the terms of this were you pay 10 grand up front, you pay additional, 10 grand up front, but what you get with that, you get a Amazon store that was, at the time, they were doing retail arbitrage. And they're doing drop shipping on Facebook shops and drop shipping on eBay. Shortly after, and so there was I think a 70-30 split. They would keep 30% of the profits across all three stores, and I would keep 70% in addition to a $400 monthly fee, like a base flat fee every month. And that fee kicked in after 3 months. So ideally they would get the stores ramped up for 3 months, and that $400 fee would kick in, and it would still continue to grow from there. And it didn't quite go as planned. It didn't quite go the way that they were selling it, but I'm not going to bash on these guys. These guys have been awesome because they've been flexible. They've been moving things around for the betterment of the investor. And in this case, the way the contract is set up, when the investor succeeds, they succeed. So they're helping themselves by helping me and the other clients. So the first problem that we ran into was scaling a brand new store, like me setting up my own Amazon store, would have been very hard. I don't know what the algorithm is, but if you have an existing store that has been doing a lot of sales, I guess it's easier to just plug money and inventory into that than starting from scratch. So they kind of saw that coming, and they basically had an existing TED store, whether that was one of the owner's stores, I don't know, but it became the general TED store, TED Amazon store. That's not the actual name, but that's essentially what it was. It was the company store on Amazon, and it had previously been doing a lot of sales. So several investors, I think I was one of maybe 3 or 4, plugged money for inventory into that store. I think I put up $5,000 initially, so it was $10,000 up front plus $5,000 of inventory, and it started to work. They have an Amazon seller app that I was given access to, but because there's multiple people investing in the store, I watched the sales go and it was kind of cool, but I don't know how much of that was mine. I don't know how much of it was profit. I couldn't see margins. I couldn't see anything like that. So they gave me what they could at the time. Issue number 2 that popped up was Facebook shops would not even let me make a Facebook shop. There's just some craziness going on with, they think that everyone's a scammer. I don't know what it was, but they couldn't even get a store set up for me. And so what they ended up doing was just posting a ton of stuff on my personal Facebook marketplace, which it wasn't public. So I was like, well, yeah, whatever. If you're gonna sell on Facebook Marketplace, go for it. Let's try whatever we can. It took, I think, maybe 2 months to get the first sale out of that. I think this month there's maybe 5 or 10 sales I've gotten out of that. So that one was kind of a letdown, but they did their best. I understand where they're coming from. If I was trying to do this myself, I'd probably run into the same problem. Yeah, but hopefully, maybe Facebook shops will actually open the gates one day and let us in, but I don't know what the deal is with that. eBay has been doing okay. There's, drop shipping. I've heard of it. I know how it works, but seeing the actual nuts and bolts of it, it's very interesting. It's a lot of work for a little bit of margin, but hey, I'm not doing it, so that's fine with me. eBay store, they started the store from scratch, and they're, I don't know how the algorithms work. I think they like, you can't just show up and dump a bunch of items. You can't just dump a bunch of listings out there and they're all going to start going off. Like, I think they know you have to ramp up the number of listings that you have, and every week they're posting new things, and so as you have more and more listings, you get more and more sales, but you can't just do it all at once. So eBay's been getting better. It's getting more and more each month, but at the end of the day, it's not a lot in my pocket yet, hopefully. But the revenue is there. I think I've made like $2,000 on eBay, but the margin is only like 7 or 8% or something like that, maybe less. But I'm bringing all this up now because they actually provided me with the tracker, so I can give you guys real numbers. Before I was just kind of piecemealing it together, trying to estimate, but I wasn't sure, so that's why I've been holding off on sharing all of this. So to date, these are approximate numbers, from what I remember looking at on the spreadsheet. The Amazon store, all the inventory money that I spent hasn't been, it hasn't been sold yet. So there's still kind of money in the bank in terms of like, hey, I've got inventory that's waiting to be sold. But as of May, June, and July, there have been $5,200 in sales off of $4,000 of inventory. So it's roughly a 30% margin, a 25% margin on the Amazon store. So that was pretty encouraging. It's solid, it's growing steadily. I'm not getting rich overnight, but the wheel is turning, the machine is moving. And from what these guys say, it just takes time to scale, and I'm willing to wait it out and see how it works. It was a small upfront investment, relatively, so I'm willing to wait this out and see how it goes. But that was encouraging. 5,200. I was, wow. In only 3 months, I wasn't really expecting that much. Facebook, not even worth mentioning. Like, I made a couple sales this month, and that I won't even know exactly how much profit was made on that till next month, maybe, or whenever they provide me the updated tracker next. eBay, again, like I said, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of searching for items. They sell it on eBay. They buy it from other places. They send tracking numbers everywhere. It seems pretty hectic, and I think eBay's only made a net profit of like $84 in the 2.5 months that it's been open. So it's been a slow start. I didn't have high expectations to start though. This was like, hey, I'm gonna be concerned if a year from now this is not rolling, you know. And that's what they say. So I'm not gonna set my expectations way high. Kind of like the trucking. Like if I could make $2,000 a month trucking, I'm happy. But we're making more than that, so hey, win. Yeah, that's been it so far. And this all sounds negative, but in reality, for what the cards that everyone has been dealt, you know, myself and the team that is managing this stuff, I think they've been doing a really good job. I found out today that because it's starting a little slower than they had hoped, they reduced that $400 monthly fee to $150, and at least on the Amazon portion, they're taking away the profit split. So I keep 100% of the profits on Amazon, and I still give 30% on Facebook and eBay, and then for across all three, I just pay $150 a month. So their reasoning behind that is the less money I have to pay out of my profits, the more I can put back into the stores, the more they can scale, and eventually the more they can make money and more I can make money. So it's all for the intention of just scaling this up to a profitable position, a sustainable position, and then we go back to the original agreement, which I think is very smart, it's very generous, and it's sustainable for everyone. So yeah, I hope that sheds a little light on this stuff. I've heard absolute horror stories from other people about e-commerce automation. I'm not gonna name names, but that's why if it was a price point any higher than what than that 10,000, I was not doing it. I needed a dip your toes in the water price point, and this was it. So yeah, I hope that sheds a little transparency for you guys out there that are thinking about this. If you're not willing to sit on this for like a year, I probably wouldn't do it. But if you're willing to give it a try, like these guys, you know, they've been extremely transparent. They've been extremely helpful in answering every question that I have. And yeah, I look forward to seeing where this goes. So that's it for e-commerce updates.